I'm going to open up this morning's time with you with a confession of my ongoing love-hate relationship with the Apostle Paul. On one hand, Christianity would not exist without his influence. He is responsible for some of the most inspirational and radically inclusive passages in the Bible. But on the other hand, his letters reveal a complex person who is both insecure and self-absorbed. And his words have been used to justify oppression against women, people of color, and the LGBT community. Usually given a choice between preaching from the gospel or from an excerpt from one of Paul's letters, I will almost always choose the gospel reading. But for some reason, today is different. Paul's words spoke to me. And they speak even more loudly as I consider the context in which they were written. You see, years before this morning's words were ever penned, Paul had planted the church in the city of Corinth. He never really expected or hoped for any success in that city, but surprisingly, his message was well received by the Corinthians. And so after about a year and a half, he left them to establish a new church in the city of Ephesus. But it wasn't long before he heard through the grapevine of problems that the Corinthian church was going through. And through a series of letters between Paul and the Corinthian congregation, we are given a peek at a congregation riddled with turmoil and conflict, cliques and factions, infighting over money, doctrine, and politics, constant arguing with one another, and people questioning Paul's authority. If you're like me, you may find this scene to be an all too disturbingly familiar one. This account of the arguments and petty quarrels within the Corinthian church is an uncomfortably accurate description of what's taking place today within the Christian church at large over the issues of marriage equality and the full inclusion of LGBT Christians. Sadly, it is also an accurate description of the infighting that can rear its ugly head within the LGBT community when one faction struggles against another for a sense of prestige, control, and power within the community. Paul knew that he had been called to ministry. He knew that he was being effectively used to make a difference in the lives of other people and to offer them comfort. But he also had some really lousy days in which everything he had said had been taken wrong in ways he didn't intend. He was persecuted not only as a minority in the larger community, but also internally. And so in this morning's reading, he acknowledges those really lousy days while writing down words of encouragement, probably as much for his own benefit as for that of the Corinthian church, to persevere even when life sucks. He writes that in spite of afflictions, hardships, and calamities, the church must continue to show patience, kindness, and genuine love. He says to remain true to your word, even though you are distrusted. To remember that you are recognized by God, even though you are ignored by the world. To remain terrifically alive, even when people try to kill your spirit. To be filled with deep joy, even while immersed in tears. And to never forget that you really have it all, even when you seem to have nothing. They are good words to live by. when fundamentalist hate speech is splashed all over the media and echoed by people who are too lazy to think, and you feel like throwing in the towel, this morning's words are worth returning to. Paul knew very much what it's like to be criticized and slandered. His message was rejected by the greater public, and his allies and supporters picked away at his authority and reputation. And still he persevered. And so I think it's worth asking ourselves what steps we need to take in order to persevere in the face of all odds the way Paul did. How do we keep on keeping on when we feel defeated and worn down by our detractors who are putting so much energy into undoing our good works? The first thing I recommend is prayer. And I'm not talking about all those whiny, sad prayers that beg God to change my life circumstances and to strike down all my enemies so that I can live out my well-deserved happily ever after life. That sort of prayer does nothing for my outlook on life, especially when God doesn't seem to respond to my wants and desires in the time frame I think God should do. Prayers of gratitude are what keep me going. Gratitude that I have been included in God's plans for a better future. Gratitude that God has chosen me to be used to make a difference. Gratitude that God has carried me this far already. And gratitude for the assurance that God won't abandon me. These are the prayers that make a difference in my life. Another thing that helps us to persevere is to stay focused on our own mission, which implies that we have a sense of what our mission is in the first place. What is God calling you to do? If it's political activism, then be a political activist. But if it's not, then don't. If it's intercessory prayer, then pray. But if it's not, then don't. If it's to offer support and encouragement, then do it. But if it's not, then don't. Others will try to set your agenda, but don't let them. Stay focused on what brings you joy and what makes you feel whole and complete. And you will be more likely to ride out any spiritual storm that comes your way. The third thing I would like to recommend, if you have any hope of persevering in the face of hardship and adversity, is to surround yourself with people who affirm you. We are a small congregation. It would be easy to feel overwhelmed by the backlash from the Christian right that will more than likely take place when marriage equality is the law of the land. That's why I think it's important to build partnerships and alliances with people like our brothers and sisters at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Waco and others who share our values. Seek out the people who share your values. Spend time with them and accept their affirmation and encouragement. After all, we're stronger together. Another key to perseverance is to never believe the lie that you are anything less than a beloved child of God. Joseph Goebbels, who was Adolf Hitler's propaganda minister in Nazi Germany, said, "If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it." I guess he would know if anyone would. But you must always resist the lie. Regardless of what others may say, you are worthy of love. And if you need to hear it, then please contact me. I will tell you the truth. I will tell you that you are loved and lovable. I'm one of many others who are on your side. And the last advice I want to offer today is to let go of the feelings that are attached to the hurtful things others may say. Hatred and resentment are too much weight to carry if we have any hope of persevering. They weigh us down. So let go and let God take care of the people who are tearing you down. It's too much to try to maintain your focus and plot revenge at the same time. It's just too much. Keep the faith and stay true to the course, come what may, and you will find peace within yourself even while chaos rages around you. And so I'd like to close out our time together with a poem by Jan Richardson, which I think is appropriate for today. It's called Blessing in the Storm. To all that is chaotic in you, let there come silence. Let there be a calming of the clamoring, a stilling of the voices that have laid their claim on you, that have made their home in you, that go with you even to the holy places, but will not let you rest, will not let you hear your life with wholeness or feel the grace that fashioned you. Let what distracts you cease. Let what divides you cease. Let there come an end to what diminishes and demeans, and let depart all that keeps you in its cage. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible and see what shimmers within the storm. Amen.